Hey, what's going on? This is Jeremy LaRochester, bringing you a recap of this previous week and a look forward to next week. So, kind of get right to the chase, cut right to the meat and potatoes of things. So last week, pretty rough week. Um, the sentiment was not necessarily overall mixed. However, January was a very profitable month. Some of you may know I am currently trading a uh, Top Step 50 and 150K combine. So been working in and out of those accounts. Been pretty diligent about positions, trades, things like that. Trading basically 1 to 2 sessions a day, or if I trade one session, AM session, London session, whatever it is. Sometimes I've been posting videos here where I'm literally paper trading the other sessions just to see how price moves, just to get acclimated within the type of criteria and the setups that I look to take. Just again, it's a lot of it is more or less tape reading, but profitable in both accounts in January. However, last week, a not so good week. A mixed week, but actually a down week. So I was down last week, down actually in both accounts. So the 50K, I will just say this, and then I may post on the community tab later on just to kind of give you an idea. Um, I was half the way to completing the 50K combine up to I want to say Tuesday of this past week. Um, Ended up catching a, let's see, I believe it was Tuesday, and it was really just like an intermediary short, but it wasn't a lot. It really wasn't, but it was enough to take me over basically like 1,500 in the account. And the long and the short of it is like I blew it. I didn't blow the account, but basically I've essentially I will start next week um, almost as if I'm starting fresh in that 50K account. There were a couple of reasonings why my I will say it this way. I my overall bias direction was correct. However, the mitigations and the price action that needed to take place um, that would have allowed for that bias to play out, I was incorrect about. The areas in which I thought price was going to either advance and retrace and then just start to distribute, it never took place. So I was on the wrong side of the market after Tuesday. That's kind of just the nuts and the bolts of it. I also realized that I wanted to get into. Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke. I took the short. It was on Wednesday. It wasn't Tuesday. It was Wednesday because I didn't realize. I thought that FOMC. I got my days confused. I thought FOMC and Powell's speech was going to be Thursday. So I was actually in a trade. And no, I did not catch this massive portion of the afternoon down. I was, however, looking for a silver bullet in the afternoon. Um, but I did not catch this massive move down. I believe it might have been somewhere in here. So I was doing something. It was in here. It was not this move. I promise you. If I caught this whole move, just I'd have my camera on. I'd have like, pictures of me calling up. I'd be editing the video with me calling up the Lamborghini dealership here. Like, hey, I'm coming to pick up. I'm gonna pick up my car, but I want to know what kind of wraps I could get. I want it. I want it to be purple and green, baby. Like, no, I didn't do that. So it was just a small short, but like I said, it basically put me in the mindset that okay, well, price is going to continue short. Never did I just didn't do my diligence. Long story short, I didn't look back to previous days highs or lows. I didn't look at any of that. So basically, once price advanced and it became what I thought was going to be evident for a price run lower, obviously I got stopped out multiple times. Um, since I realized that I could trade Thursday, which ended up not being a smart thing to do, um, I basically gave back everything that I had advanced in account. Long story short, so um, come to Friday, also NFP day, wasn't the smartest, and again against my trade plan, against my trade rules, traded Friday. So what do you think happened? Gave the rest of the advance in my combine back. So I'll be starting from, I don't know how many of you have watched the Martin Lawrence show or Martin, but there was a particular episode where I think he had to get like his driver's license was suspended, something to that degree, and he ended up having to go to the DMV. But every time he got to the front, like he'd wait in the line, and every time he got to the clerk to be able to go through his information, he was always missing like one particular thing. So the clerk would point, like he would say, "Well, where am I supposed to get that?" And then she would tell him, it's the documents, the papers, blah 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 blah. And he was like, "Okay, cool. You have one?" And she's like, "No, you got to get one from over there and fill it out." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, all right." So I just go fill it out and then I come right back to you. She's like, "No." He's like, "Well, what am I supposed to do then?" He's like, and then she says, "You got to go to the back of the line." And there's like all these fucking people in the line. He does this in this one episode like 3 4 times until he's finally like, fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore. You have to see it, but the nuts and the bolts, how that intertwines into this is like, it's a reset. Like I've got to go back to the back of the line. I'm not going to use that other expression, which involves a public mode of transportation, because I don't know, you can't see me, and then there that could have all kind of connotation, and yeah, I'll just say I have to go to the back of the line. I have to start from scratch next week in my 50K combine. Um, my 150K, I'm still up because I realized that I didn't want to. It was dumb enough to trade one account yesterday. I wasn't retarded enough to change to trade both. So the 150K, we're still good. 50K, starting from scratch. So that being the case, moving into yesterday, again, what was my thought process and why? Again, looking at the close of yesterday, which was, excuse me, at 445. So the 445 candle high was 49.6375, right? And then the overnight, Friday, Thursday evening, Friday night, like the low actually came in at 49.50. So basically, you're looking at this tight range all the way up basically until 8. So price acted like it wanted to take this level out at 7:15. It did not. So I started tape reading because obviously, again, I'd said to myself, and this is where I have to work on my psychology just that much more. Um, Make a commitment, make a decision, follow the trading plan. Don't deviate. I deviated, didn't follow my plan, because the whole plan was, we're not trading NFP. We're going to tape read NFP, and if we're going to take a trade, you can take a paper trade just to kind of follow price along. If and that was a big if and a stretch. There was nothing, but I got the best of me yesterday, meaning I didn't follow my rules and I thought I saw something that I did not see. I was still operating, and I can fairly assess and say this, that I was still stuck yesterday here where I was stuck down here. Basically between the end, almost the close of Wednesday going into Thursday, I'm thinking price is still going to be short. I literally found myself in the same situation up here because I'd already made the decision. Like I made up my mind, not I made up my mind, my understanding, and my bias based upon what the market is showing me it's going to do. It's what it's likely to do. No, no, no. Yours truly just kind of said, "Yeah, the hell with what you want to do. This is what I'm telling you to do." We see how that works. You can never tell it. It's always going to tell and show you. So I looked at this consolidation, and rather than consider the possibility that there was possibly either still something that was unmitigated, or just quite simply another form of manipulation before the true move, once I saw this tick take out that range at 8, and I saw this displacement, I said, "Oh, I got you. I got it." And then I waited, and 8:30 NFP came, and I'm thinking, "Oh, Yeah, but see, here's a funny thing that, I learned about yesterday, but just because I learned it and remembered something else, I'm still not going forward trading any more NFP days because um, more times than not, I've always been on the wrong side. Didn't matter how good my bias and everything else was. I've only in demo trades will I tell you that I've ever been successful on an NFP day, and that's only to say this is what I'd like to see price do and where I'd like to see price end up, and I'd set it in a demo and I'd sit and I watch it and I go, that worked out. I've only done it a couple times, but no, and so that in and of itself, it was no basis for me to do what I did yesterday. However, I'll tell you now. So 8:30, this candle starts to move down. It breaks the consolidation. Okay, so in my mind again, I'm saying, okay, you broke this low, body closure below this range low, set, 7:15. Okay, Thursday night. That is in my mind. I'm like, oh, I'm confirmed. I'm using this tick closure above as having taken out this range. So this was my trade. That was a whole idea. Like I'm looking at this and I'm going, oh, I'm in like Flint. I could just and the next candle, the 8:45 candle opens. This is the candle that I got in on. So this is how ridiculous I was, and this is why I ended up going home with no soup. Stop above that high. What do you think I targeted? Honestly, it was bad. I mean, it was bad enough because we never got there. I was targeting this imbalance here, but before I had marked this, I actually did this last night. But I was looking at this area, basically saying, okay, this is a lot of buy side, so there's a sell side inefficiency. So I was looking at this BISI back here as a range, not specific, but figuring price basically is pretty well paired in here, but there is a higher time frame inefficiency that exists in terms of price. So at minimum, it should push back into here. Well, we see how that worked out. It did push, and because I was actually committed to the position. Well, wait, before I do that, um, two things I'm going to show you here. I'm going to leave that on. Now I'm on a 15-minute time frame. So again, just for time's sake and to keep this concise, um, the average number of handles that I've taken out of the market at any one time has been 10. Or excuse me, I'm sorry. The most I've ever taken out was 12, like 12, 13 and a half at a time. The least amount of handles I've ever taken out of the market since combine or otherwise, like it like overall. Okay, the least amount has been like maybe two and a half. The way that this is set up right now, I could have gotten out, and it would have essentially just been, and if you're looking at it, because I told you this is where I got it, it would have just really have been like this one push candle down, this 8:45 candle. If I get out at the 8:45 candle, even if I get out at the close, that's 18 handles. Entry not that great. Um, RR is a negative R. I'm not overly concerned about that. Not that big of a deal. Not, in this scenario, it's basically a one R. It's a 1-to-1, right? That's not the point. The point is take off what you could take off, right? And it's not about let the runners run. I can understand that in certain contexts, but again, on an NFP day, you don't necessarily want to let the runner run, right? So 18 handles could have been taken off. Did I take it off? No. I let it run. And it continued to run against me, ran all the way against me. Now, I can take this off. So just keep 18 handles in mind. And this is something for, anybody else that would consider. So I figured as I looked at structure, I said, okay, well, I entered. Look at what this just gave me. It's just produced basically a fair value gap. So if my hypothesis is correct, this is going to be my fair value gap, and I can keep my stop up here, and I don't really have to worry about getting stopped out. I can just let it go, right? Seems logical, right? If the overall context of what I'm looking at in terms of what price is showing and delivering is correct, that wouldn't, I don't think anybody could fault that. If under the proper pretense and understanding of how price is delivering, you would have too much of a problem, right? Okay. There is a problem. NFP, when I said that, I had to go back and learn and remember. So what I had to learn is that I wasn't paying attention before all those times that I wasn't actually trading NFP and I was tape reading. But NFP will sometimes have a habit of its own manipulation within the release, meaning the direction that it runs in the first time as the numbers come out is not necessarily the true direction that it wants to run. There are some, and I haven't really been able to vet it with any empirical data, but there are times where the first direction that it runs in is the ultimate direction, almost like a false breakout at the outset, but eventually it will run in that direction. So this move quickly followed by liquidating everything, took all the buy side liquidity, as you can see here. So needless to say, I was stopped out at wick this 8 a.m. wick that originally took out the previous day's consolidation range. So I got taken out there, and then honestly, and because at that point I knew I was basically back at break even in the account, I kind of said, you know what, I I don't have to tell myself I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm done. And it's just a time to reassess. So um, we learn from failures. Failures happen. We lose trades. We learn from losing trades. This was a lesson in a couple of things. It was a lesson in humility to once again reinforce, and I could say, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a student in this space for the rest of my life. Just as everyone else is. It doesn't matter what your level of understanding is, or how you see, or how you process, or how you trade, or whatever it is. Every system is going to run into a time where you may not necessarily be refining the overall aspects of it, but you're going to always have to refine it based upon what the market and what price is showing. So it's never really going to be a cookie cutter. Those cookie cutter approaches are going to lead you to some level and some measure of success, but equally some measure and some level of failure as well. If you don't confine them, some mechanical strategies obviously are not 100%. So just within that framework, that mental framework. So having said all of that, week ahead. Now that we've seen, and I've just labeled here buy side liquidity, Thursday taken out Friday 2-2, but now ultimately this liquidity has been taken, so it's just like a matter of moving this up like one tick, and this is the liquidity that's been swept. So have to see what happens. I have no plans, and this is something I'm going to go ahead and say here in this weekly outlook moving forward for next week. Um, I don't really have any plans on trading or taking any position on Sunday. I don't have any plans to take any positions Monday. The earliest would be Tuesday London session, or and I believe I've got an appointment Tuesday afternoon. So it'll either be Tuesday London session, or it's going to be the AM session. There'll be a couple of tweaks, so I will be sure. Even though I won't be taking a position, say tomorrow, tomorrow, which is Sunday, or Monday. The plan is still to actually do the live streams, and then we could tape read. And if I do take positions on those days, it will strictly be in a paper trade or demo account. Um, there's some other things that I was working on last night, just trying to refine what my processes were, refine the plan, look at areas and targets. So Excuse me, and I've actually outlined that here. So again, my bias has not really changed. I put up here, external liquidity taken, target internal liquidity next week, and I put a question mark because we go from external to internal, internal to external. So this basically, with this massive run up, S&P at all time highs, it's taken external liquidity within the context of pushing higher. So I'm not simply saying how high can it go. We don't have anything to measure it off. We don't have anything to measure it off. Um, I'm a contrarian by nature, I guess. So I'm not saying it's exhausted or whatever. I'm just looking at where my runs on liquidity could be. So as I look at this next week and price started to break down a little bit before the market closed, there is this fair value gap that the market did create. Um, Sunday could give some indication, and typically it's the days like Sunday where most most day traders, some day traders, I won't say most, some won't take positions, and Sunday will be the day where it basically delivers all the way into a specific draw on liquidity, internal draw on liquidity, and sets the stage for basically consolidation on Monday. Totally possible, right? Um, if I was that much of a soothsayer, we'd be in a different we'd be in a different place and position. However, next week looking, I've already outlined here. I said potential draw on liquidity. This is a 4 hour fair value gap, and this is my internal excuse me, internal range liquidity. That's what the IRL is, not in real life. My internal range liquidity. I'm also looking if it wants to continue to push. There is an area down here, which is basically the month open for price to potentially return to. Again, I believe in the prospect of negative value. So open low, high close. So within the context of that, I know it does not always occur that way, but based upon how the market opens, um, trying to lean on that criteria a little bit just to look and see what the market shows. So if it opens and it expands, that could be the open to the high, back to the low to the close. So we just you just have to wait and see. So I'll be a little bit more of a bystander just at the outset of next week, and then we're just gonna look honestly for the most prime setups that show themselves on Wednesday and Thursday. I will add this one small note, and then we're gonna get out of here. Um, if there is a trade that's taken on Tuesday, it's probably going to be later in the day. If if there is a noticeable sweep of either the Monday high or low. If there's not a sweep of the daily high or low, there's no liquidity taken. There's probably not going to be a trade taken on Tuesday. Um, the likelihood is there's going to be one of those two that's going to be taken on Wednesday, and the likelihood that's going to lead to some type of a reversal going into Thursday. So again, um, I'll maybe break down the adjustment to the methodology and why I'm looking at those specific days to put positions on and a criteria under the condition of Tuesday, why I would take a position there. But yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, like moving forward, probably going to be the only days, with the exception of obviously like the FOMC days, the NFP days, CPI, those types of events, which usually occur Wednesday, Thursdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday sometimes. Um, with the exception of those types of events, we're only going to be looking on those 3 days. All right. So leave your comments down below. I will get that information posted up in the community tab. So hopefully everybody has a safe and enjoyable weekend. You get some things done, you get some rest, and hope you have a profitable trading week next week. So see you.